I was selling those clarity calls or inviting people into those clarity calls at, in registration emails. And I was almost booked up before the event even started.
Wow.
So it was a really great strategic event for my business, which I'm thrilled about because I enjoy doing it. And I will do it again next fall for sure.
Why would you wait that long?
That's a great question, Sarah. I don't know.
Sally, you just told me something was wildly successful.
I
Why wouldn't
know,
you do it
right?
again in 3 months?
Hmm. When do people get tired of it?
Sally, how many people that came to your event had just learned about you?
Um,
What percentage of the room? Okay.
85%. Yeah,
So if
85% probably.
85% of the room is brand new, how would they be tired of you doing that event when
I
it is the
don't know.
first
That's a great
time
question.
that they've heard of it?
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
great
the other
question. I
15% of the
appreciate your
room,
challenge for me.
the other 15% of the room, they are probably in love with you and would like any chance to spend more time.
Yeah,
And it's probably
do it
right
again, Sally.
now not the right time or the right time for their budget to invest in you, but they know they want to.
Yeah.
And so you're keeping them warm.
Oh,
So
yep,
I'd
you're
like to,
right. You're
I'd
right.
like to see you do this
Darn
again
it.
in January.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking February. I'm gonna do it
Okay.
February. I'm just gonna
With
tell
you in
everybody right
February.
here.
Excellent.
I'm gonna do February.
Excellent. How are entrepreneurs like us daring bravely to build a stage, ditch the sweatpants, and step up to the mic? How do we create our own transformative events so we can get our message out into the world in a bigger way that's not only profitable, but it's actually something we can be proud of? That's the question. And the answers are inside this podcast. My name is Sarah Pfeiffer. Welcome to Green Room Central. Today, I brought into Green Room Central Studios Sally Z, an award-winning speaker and speaker coach at Be Moved. Her mission is to create talks that move audiences and the world. After 20 plus years of honing her craft, Sally coaches big-hearted entrepreneurs and changemakers to step on stage and speak their story in a way that moves audiences. She recently hosted her first half-day virtual event called Story Plus Impact for entrepreneurs to get the inspiration, insight, and practical training necessary to scale their speaking so they can have more impact, authority, and revenue. Sally, welcome to Green Room Central Studios. Say hello to Lynchpin Nation.
Hello, Lynchpin Nation. Whoop whoop.
I'm so thrilled you're here. It's been a long time since we got to chat, and I'm just thrilled to be hanging with a fellow Minnesotan this
Whoa.
morning.
Oh yeah. Yes, you betcha. Okay.
Sally, you just hosted your first half day virtual event, and I'm so excited to dig into all of the things about how that went and how you felt. But first, I wanna get a sense for what you think your superpower is when it comes to the event space.
Mm, thank you for asking that. So I have, although this last event that I did that we're going to talk about, that was the first time I myself was hosting a half day event, virtual event, but I have been on event teams and helped script events and helped prep speakers and spoken at many, many events over
Yeah.
the years. And so I love events. I think they're amazing. And if I were to answer what my superpower is, I have to say, the first thing that jumped to mind is that I know how to move an audience,
Mm,
how to emotively connect with an audience from a creation perspective, like what we create, the words that we create, the whole structure of the event, how you build an experience for an event and for an audience that serves them in an emotively satisfying
yeah.
way. Because that to me that is why we do events versus send an email or even do a webinar. Like an event is an experience, and
Yes.
I love to think of it that way. And how do we serve up a really juicy, satisfying, moving event? I I think that's my superpower.
Oh, that's so good. And I bet there's a lot of people like me who are listening right now who are thinking, "Oh gosh, I'm a little bit envious that that is your superpower because that's a skill that needs honing
Hmm.
and it's such a big one when it comes to the event experience. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's what people come for. People come to be moved. And
Yeah.
isn't that the name of your company too?
It is.
How
Hmm,
clever of
interesting.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And so much of that is what is said from stage and how it's said and the emotion behind it, how it makes people feel. And
Yeah.
that's amazing that you have that foundation to start on as you're going into your first event. And
Hmm.
so you have tons of event experience, but it's different. It's not you like footing the bill, and it's not
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
like being in charge of like holding space on the stage for the whole time. So
Yeah.
what was it like? What were your biggest learnings coming away from your very first, like, this is my stage, I
Yeah.
built it event?
Yeah. So generally, I'm so proud of what I was able to pull off.
Yeah.
But technology is all it's a thorn in my side again and again and again, and to be expected because I opted for a new platform that I
Mm.
hadn't used before.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of new things, and for me, it was a really intentional shift towards let's take advantage of this opportunity and play in some spaces technologically. I updated all of my equipment. I went and I, I took the opportunity to say, okay, I want to just up level the experience for myself for the long run. And I knew that that could create some short term challenges, but I just owned that right up front in the event and said, here we are gathered together, and I know that this is precious time for you. And as an entrepreneur, I'm always going to be pushing myself to the next place. And that's what we're doing here today. This is a new platform for me. We've got all kinds of beautiful, cool new things. It's not going to go perfectly, and that's okay. My goal here today is to not do this perfectly. My goal today is to create connection with you. And so, despite what might go wrong, that's what my focus is today. And because that's my philosophy as a speaking coach,
Mm.
I've
Yeah.
coached people for 20 plus years in the speaking industry. So, that is what I believe. But it offered me some great cover, ironically, because it was technologically very bumpy. So that is my biggest learning was even as I did a run through, we did a tech through, we did all the things you're supposed to do, and it was still we still encountered things that I didn't expect or didn't know about because there's just some things you don't know until you're in the real time experience. So next time, I will know so much more. And ultimately, I think it was worth it. And I'm so glad I did it. But it was a lot of new, a
Okay,
lot of
so I'm hearing that
new.
you think tech is really scary, and then you decided to say, I'm going to go and get new equipment and a new platform for my first event. Like, let's just
Yep.
pile on
Yep.
all of the
Let's
scary
just
things.
go there. Let's just go there, Sarah. Yeah. Hello. I'm Sally. Nice to meet you. That's how I roll.
I'm not sure
But
that I would recommend that, but
that's
I
totally
applaud
fair. But
you.
and it's because I wasn't worried about the content.
Mm,
I wasn't worried about my ability to deliver it.
yes.
I those things are like easy for me. And I say that with a big asterisk. Of course, it takes focus and energy and commitment and preparation, but I trust myself completely in the delivery of what I'm doing. And so that opens up space for me to focus on this other area of new, which was
Yes.
all the tech. And so if you aren't feeling super confident about what you're saying or how you're saying it, I would focus on that first. That's my
Yes.
totally my, and as the events
Agreed.
expert, you might have a
100%
different
agree.
point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
Okay.
more. I think there's so many things that people pile on during events, like you did with tech, that
Yeah.
distract them from what matters, which is the content.
Yeah.
And I feel so sad when people don't get the content right because they were so worried about all of these
Yeah.
other things that didn't have, like, we just
Absolutely.
didn't need to put ourselves there, you know?
Yeah.
But so
Totally.
you knew you didn't have to worry about the content. So you decided to go like into this brave new world. So you got new equipment. What did you get?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got an actual full-sized teleprompter. I was gonna stand where I set up like a new studio space in my office,
Yeah.
but then I remembered we're not necessarily doing this on video. So then I was like, well, we could just talk about it. And this is an easier like automatic jump in and press
Yes.
go. But I have a little corner studio that I created
Okay.
and set up for this where I have a teleprompter. I've got a nice camera. I'm trying
Did
to
you get a
remember the
switcher
kind.
by chance?
Um,
One of those like
I
little
do not
ATM mini things?
an ATM mini thing. Well, I use Ecamm Live,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
and that works within lots of different platforms. So I was using Zoom events and Ecamm Live within Zoom. So Ecamm Live is my switcher,
Yeah.
and it makes it really, really easy to go from full screen slide to
Yes.
me. I'm sure you
I
know
love
how that
that. I mean,
works.
it's one of the coolest things that's come from the pandemic is the evolution of virtual and being able to switch up the view for our guests because I mean if we're watching TV how often are they changing it on us, right? like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
multiple times in a second it feels like it's
yeah,
constant and that's for a
yeah,
reason. It's by design.
yeah,
And so we get to do that now too. And so an
yeah,
ATEM mini or an Ecamm Live
yeah.
allows us to switch that up and it's easier to tell the people it's easier than it
Oh,
feels, right?
so much
Yeah.
easier. And so I have a little thing called, oh gosh. Okay. Can you give me a minute while I run and look?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
I gotta
so
go look
so
at
I'm
look
going to
at the
recap.
phone.
So she got herself a little studio in her office, separate from her office space, dedicated to going live and doing events. She got herself a teleprompter. She's using the switcher. She got a dedicated high-res camera. Did you also maybe do a monitor that is
Yep.
showing you the maybe like the Zoom gallery view?
Yeah, I had three. Well, the Zoom gallery view is in the teleprompter.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I could see all the people
Sure.
in my teleprompter. And then I had my slides and what they were all seeing. I wanted to make sure I knew what they were seeing. So I had that set up on, I had three monitors. That on one of the monitors
Yeah, tell us what you had
to
on
my
each monitor.
right. Yeah, so on the monitor to my right, I had my slide deck, just exactly what the deck was on the right.
Yep.
And then if I'm remembering this correctly. And then I had Zoom in the teleprompter. And then I had on the third monitor was my laptop, and that was over to my left. And on that, I had, that was like my working deck. So that's where I had my Ecamm, buttons and all of the things. Even though I was using Stream Deck, that was the cool tool. I wanted to make sure I pointed out. So
Mm.
anyway, so I had my monitor, which was kind of the main system that was running everything in the teleprompter. So that second
Yeah,
monitor was the Zoom world, and then to the right was my slides.
that's awesome. And how did that feel? Did it give you more confidence having those things to look at, or did something become a distraction?
Well, we're getting super technical, which is great, but I was using my slides in Canva.
Mm.
And I love Canva. I love Canva, but there's a few little things in the using of Canva
Yes.
as a presentation
Yes.
tool that is not quite working for me. And I should just call them up because I talk about them all the time. I'm like, I'm sending so many people to you, Canva. So listen to me when I tell you this. It has this funny, stupid little thing where when you put your cursor on it, it depending on where your cursor is on the monitor, it will send it forward or backward.
Mm.
And so I had to I had to be really careful. So every once in a while, it would click back instead of forward accidentally,
Well, it could
which
be a
just drove me
distraction.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
The good news is because I was controlling what view people had, I could really easily with my Stream Deck, which is like a small little keypad basically, and I can press a button and it could change the view with a button. So
Yes.
I could make it show just me, and then I could make it show just my slide, and then I could make it show my slide with me in the corner.
Yep.
And then I had a button that would play my transition music and video.
Oh,
And so
fun.
once you have that all set up, whew, that just made everything easier. So I could just change the view to something else while I got the slide set up, and then I would move to the slide. That could all have been easier if I had gotten my clicker working.
Like a
It's just
wireless
the little
clicker.
things. Yes,
Yeah.
my slide clicker, that you use when you're out speaking in the real world. Because my computer was right there, I was like, I'm not going to need the clicker. But because I was managing, I was producing it
Yes.
myself as I was doing it
Yes.
in the moment. There was just a lot of things happening, and so it ended up being a little messier than I wanted. I don't think ultimately it impacted people's
Well, I was going to
experience all that
say, I
much, but
bet all of these things you're describing to me, it was what you were experiencing, not your
yeah,
guess. And next
yeah,
time it'll feel that much smoother for you and natural
yeah,
because, you've had this initial experience and you've found the areas that you want to tweak and
totally, yeah.
definitely really pushed yourself to try new things. I agree on that
Hmm.
wireless clicker. It's amazing how much, and you would know better than me, how much of your brain is used when you're speaking in front of an audience, and how you just want to remove any sort of, I don't want to say
Oh,
distractions or
yeah,
friction, and a clicker is just
yep,
so easy, right? It's forward
yeah,
or back.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. So I think it's a reminder to me, even as I'm talking about this with you, and this morning as I was thinking about our conversation and
Mm-hmm.
reflecting on the event, just the level of resilience that we have to bring
Mm,
to the moment
mm-hmm.
to not let that be the decision maker about the experience that you're having with your audience. That kind of stuff happens, and it truly, an audience is willing to stick with you on it. They get it. In fact, they're just empathizing with you as long as you yourself don't get detracted
Mm,
from the real goal. And so, people expect some bumps, and if you can ride those bumps without it really paying a price in terms of the connection that you're having with people, then if anything it might humanize you and help people feel more connected, like, oh, especially the world of speaking, we tend to put people on a pedestal and say, okay, well, you're doing something
right?
that I could never do. And the reality is, it's just like, nope, I'm just a human. And yep, my dog keeps scratching at the door,
Yes.
and my kids just got home. And, I mean, we're, especially in the virtual world, we are bringing our real full selves to the moment. And I want us to be able to do that. And we can still deliver a high quality, empathetic, connected, moving piece of content for our people. So it's the whole soup of it.
It is. And I want to underline something you just said there about how we react, our resilience in the moment when stuff like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, shoot, my wireless clicker's not working. I'm going to have to go figure out what button it
Yeah.
is on my laptop, and I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
a thought and I don't want to lose it.
Yep.
Like, that our resilience in that moment, or something even bigger going wrong, is so important. And I've watched so many speakers, and the ones that I just think to myself, oh my gosh, you're so good, are the ones where I know there's things that are not going right, and they aren't letting it ruffle their feathers,
Yeah.
and they're able to talk about it in a way that doesn't throw anybody under the bus, that doesn't make it look like it's like blowing it out of proportion. They're just like, oh, shoot, that was the wrong
Yep.
video that just played. Hey, can
Yep.
you play the other video? That's the one I wanted to play right now. If they're
Yeah.
talking to the back of the room or something. It
Yeah.
just, your ability to be grace under pressure and resilient, and yes, again, like a double underline, people want to see you, like the real you, and the more vulnerable, like our vulnerability is a key to connecting with
Yeah.
our guests. And it is okay. It is
Yeah.
okay to be vulnerable and say, shoot, I walked up on
Yeah.
stage without the clicker. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, like, you just like hang out here and write 3 things you're excited about for our
Yeah.
next hour together when we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about X. I'm gonna go get it and come back.
Totally.
Like,
Okay.
it's
Can I be
okay.
speaker coach for a moment on this? Because I think what you're talking about is so,
Yeah.
so important.
Go speaker coach on
That
us.
the
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the line is when our audience, when we flip over to a worrying place on screwing up or missing something
Mm-hmm.
or something goes wrong or it's live theater. Like you have no idea what's going to happen,
Mm.
which is partly why people find it so terrifying, but why I think it's so thrilling because you just never know. But what we're trying to attain and maintain with our audience is a level of trust.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean that you can't screw up. What it means is they want to know that you still are captain of the ship. And I call it like, do you have the con? The con is this old, sailing term about the control of the ship. So the
Mm.
person who has the con, it has the wheel
Yes.
of the ship. And so if they start to worry, like who is running the ship and what's going on, and when you sound like you don't have trust in the people who are running things or this or that, then they start to feel uneasy, and now they're pulled out of the experience and are analyzing it from above instead of being in the experience with us. And so most importantly, we want to maintain that sense of trust and connection. And so if you screw up, if you walk out on stage and you don't have the clicker, it's no worries. This happens. I'm going to go grab it. I've got you. And you're still taking care of them in that moment. And you can be honest about what's going on because you're a real human and mistakes happen. And
Yes.
so that is the most important piece of it. If they start to worry about you, so like when somebody takes their vulnerability to a level where you're like, this is too outside the norms and expectations for this context, right? Now they're not with you. Now they're analyzing from above, and we want to keep them really, really focused down with us. And so, you know, that's to me the thing to think about when you're like, okay, I can't screw up. That's not what it's about.
Mm.
Nothing can go wrong. That's not what it's about. In order for me to be vulnerable, I have to share all. Nope, that's not what it's about. It's truly about a true, honest connection based in the reality of the moment that's happening right now. Not this taking your plan and sticking to it no matter what and, you know, ignoring something that is really happening in the room. But how do we show up and let go all at the same time? And that's where trust and connection come in. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
absolutely. And Lynchpin Nation, I'd want you to like star the thing in your journal that where she said a part about like that you're in charge of the room, like that's your job,
Mm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
people get uneasy if they sense that you're who's like leading, who's in charge
Who's
here,
running this
what's
thing? Like,
happening. They just need to
yep.
feel a sense of that you're in control,
Mm-hmm.
and that, like Sally said, you've you've got them, and that's
Mm-hmm.
so important, and it's way easier to do than I think we give ourselves credit for. We're all capable
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, especially when you think of this from a team perspective. So when we're talking about this, I'm imagining it in person,
Mm,
but, usually when we're putting on an event, there's multiple people involved. So my assistant was in Slack, right? And she's helping, you know, we're not in the same location, but she's in Zoom events, she's checking the chat, she's fixing this or fixing that.
yeah.
She's in communication with me the whole time. And so I know, like, my job is to not, like you said, not throw her under the bus if something goes wrong. And her job is to not, and vice versa. We take care of each other in
Mm-hmm.
this, and you want to make each other look brilliant. So I can say, if there was something going wrong, instead of Allison didn't do this or didn't do that or whatever,
Yes.
which, by the way, that was not the case at
Yeah.
all. But I can say Allison's figuring it out. Allison's the hero of the
Yes.
day, and that helps people know that we see what's happening, we're managing it, and we're being real about something that everybody knows and is aware of. In managing it, we've got you. We've got you. We've created this safe place
Couldn't
for you to
agree
show
more.
up and do your thing.
That's so good. After all of the stuff that went well and didn't go well, what would you what would you boil up as something that you would do differently next time?
I wouldn't wait until the week of to do my tech run through.
Mm,
I would do that, uh, 10, 14 days in advance, uh, and do multiple of them. So when I was doing the stuff in person, we were doing so much more prepping and rehearsing, and we're in the space the day before, and we're, putting the slides up, hours before and running through everything. And when we are virtual, the pros and con of it is that anybody can do it, and anybody can do it, and we can slap something together and pull it off, really. But we still have to give ourselves time to figure out where the friction is going to be, to use your word. I love that. I think that's exactly accurate. And the bumps. So I tend to, especially entrepreneurs, we do so much virtual, and we can kind of wing it. And technology is one of those things that you really don't want to wing. You really want to give yourself lots of time and energy to mess up in advance, as much as possible. So I did not give myself enough time and energy. So I was up late the night before trying to set all the monitors up exactly right and
sure.
stuff like that, where it's like, this is too stressful.
Yeah, you can't serve as your highest, show up and serve as your
No.
highest and best self if I say is if you're schlepping boxes in, the day before in the morning
Yeah.
of, but or
Yeah.
staying up late and trying to figure out like how to
Yeah.
set up a monitor and make your
Yeah.
clicker work and uh, get the teleprompter going. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you
Yeah.
say is something that you would definitely do again? Like this was a home run for you.
Yeah. One of my guests joined us in person,
Mm,
which was really, really fun. So even though it was virtual,
yes.
she happened to be local, and I was like, come, let's do this in person
Yes.
with me. And so that was a really fun little delight and surprise. And for me, it was such a relief. I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about any technology in this section. It's
Yeah.
just two people having a conversation face to face. But I think, brought a new and different energy. And it's so great to be able to, switch up the mode,
Mm,
not just
mm-hmm.
like video, panel, keynote, interview, all the different ways that we can deliver our content, but to really be in person together
Oh,
was
fun.
a really fun delight, and it was a favorite. It was a hit. Um,
So you didn't
yeah,
speak the whole event. You had other guest speakers with you. Talk to me
yeah.
about
I brought
that
in a
and
few
why
guest
you made that
speakers.
decision.
Well, promotionally, it's wise, right? So you're just like, we build our podcast because they're an incredible networking tools, and
Yep.
we're sharing audiences and bringing their audience with them into our event and experience. 4 hours is a long time for one person to be doing their thing. And especially virtually, I think bringing in other voices
Mm-hmm.
is important. I probably sold some extra tickets. I am so pleased with how many people joined and how many people bought tickets. My goal was 500, which was a big goal, but 400 people bought tickets. That
That's
was
amazing,
so,
Sally.
I know. I was really, really excited about that because you just never know. And I've done plenty of webinars in my day that
Yes.
didn't meet the goals that I set out, nearly that. So it felt really good to do that. So I do think having those other voices in, and some of them were more high profile than me, and so it was a great way to, I think, elevate the, not just the experience itself, but also the the way it looked,
Yeah.
which matters when you're selling, not to be too down and dirty about it, but how it looks is how you sell it, and then delivering is what happens in the moment. So,
Yeah. Um, Talking about your 400 ticket sales, so your guests, how did you fill that room?
yeah, so I was in promo mode for it for a good 6 weeks on social and in my weekly emails and stuff. And then I started Facebook ads probably 2.5 weeks in advance.
Okay.
And those were really successful. They were really great. And honestly, I hadn't put a lot of stock into them. I've had such up and down response,
Yeah.
really inconsistent response from Facebook ads and Instagram, but they worked really well. And because this was a lead generating, the whole point of the event for me, for my business, was not just to serve my audience and provide for them something really valuable, but it was also to invite people into sales conversations with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I call them clarity calls, and they are, but they're also the introduction to how can I help you?
Right.
What's the next thing for you in your business? And I was selling those clarity calls or inviting people into those clarity calls at, in registration emails. And I was almost booked up before the event even started.
Wow.
So it was a really great strategic event for my business, which I'm thrilled about because I enjoy doing it. And I will do it again next fall, for sure.
Why would you wait that long?
That's a great question, Sarah. I don't know.
Sally, you just told me something was wildly successful.
I
Why wouldn't
know,
you do it
right?
again in 3 months?
Hmm. When do people get tired of it?
Sally, how many people that came to your event had just learned about you?
Um,
What percentage of the room?
85%.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if
85% probably.
85% of the room is brand new, how would they be tired of you doing that event when it is the first time
Question.
that they've heard of it?
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
great
the other
question. I
15% of the
appreciate your
room,
challenge for me.
the other 15% of the room, they are probably in love with you and would like any chance to spend more time.
Yeah,
And it's probably
do it
right
again,
now
Sally.
not the right time or the right time for their budget to invest in you, but they know they want to.
Yeah.
And so you're keeping them warm.
Oh,
So
yep.
I'd
You're
like
right. You're
I'd
right.
like to see you do this
Darn
again
it.
in January.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking February. I'm gonna do it
Okay.
February. I'm just gonna tell
With you in
everybody right
February.
here. I'm
Excellent.
gonna do February.
Excellent.
January, it's like travel crazy month.
Was it profitable
But
for you?
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Well, you know what I say this because it's the beginning of the customer journey series for me. It's absolutely profitable and worth it. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no, spending a few $1,000s on Facebook ads is absolutely a worthwhile investment to me. I had, because I bought all new equipment, was like, well, this one, it was an expensive event for me and my
Mm-hmm.
business, but those costs don't carry over to the next one.
I
Another
love
reason
that.
why I should
Yeah,
do it faster,
exactly. Yeah.
not wait
Well, I
longer.
think I love for people to keep doing what works, right? And so you're
Yeah.
saying that this worked, and let's just get better at doing what works instead of trying something new, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I liked that it was a half day, not a full day, because a full day can feel like a big commitment for people,
Mm-hmm.
even though, and it still is meaty. It's more than a webinar. It
Yeah.
still feels like, okay, I'm going to take some time and space. I'm going to carve out some time and I'm going to be here and be
Mm-hmm.
present. So the half day felt really good to me in that. And afterwards, I could shut everything down and go sit outside with a margarita.
Yes.
And that was great too.
There is such a beautiful dynamic where we can be serving so many people from all over the world and
Yeah.
then like turn off the computer and go step
Yeah.
outside and we're back with our family and our real life
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
to just be doing something we love like drinking a margarita on the
Yeah.
back porch.
Yeah.
It's so weird and amazing all at the
I
same
know
time.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a speaker coach, obviously the pandemic blew up my business and many, many other people's, and I'm sure we're talking to many of them
Yes.
right now. The great thing about it is that in my book, it democratized the opportunities. Like
Mm-hmm.
anybody can do this. You don't need the new equipment, and I know you and I totally agree on this, Sarah. You don't need all the fancy things. You don't have to wait to be invited. And as a speaker coach, I'm saying stop waiting to be invited. And yeah, we want to do that too, but get out there now. You can. The virtual stage is yours for the taking. Every day on social media is a free virtual stage.
Yes.
Every time you put your podcast together, Sarah, you're on the virtual stage.
Yes.
And you can create as big of a virtual stage for yourself as you want. Now, getting people there, promoting it, I'm making it sound really easy, but it is yours for the taking there. And I think before the pandemic, we thought of speaking as something that only happened on a stage and only for people who had lots of followers, already had a book, a successful book even,
Yeah.
and a not a self-published book. And like we have all these caveats on what it takes
Mm-hmm.
to be a speaker. And my belief is anybody can do it. There's a learning curve, but nobody is born being an amazing speaker. You grow into it. You build yourself into it, and you can.
I want to bless
Excuse me.
you.
Sorry.
I want to circle back
Okay.
to something you said because you said it almost in passing and I think it's kind of a big deal. You said you've tried Facebook ads in the past and they haven't really been successful for you, but they were this time. And so I'm
Hmm.
wondering if you're able to pinpoint yet what was it?
I don't. Maybe I found a better Facebook ads person. I
Mm.
don't know.
Did you
I don't know.
what did your ads look like?
So I had a few video ads. We A/B tested a lot of different things. I had a few video ads and I had a few static ads. Really surprising to me and the Facebook person, my static ads did way better.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
Especially because I'm like, oh, I'm a speaker and I like video and I think I'm pretty engaging on video.
Yes.
I don't know. I was like, nope, the static ads did better.
And what was on
So
your static ads?
Um,
Did it say the event or like
hmm
event and a
it did.
date
It
and
was a picture of me speaking
mm-hmm.
and had the event name, and I don't remember. I don't remember. You could tell I was just like, great, it's working
Yay,
great.
it's
Go do.
working.
Oh my gosh.
Did you
It's
have your
amazing the details you let go of.
right? But they matter. What did your Facebook ads person make the ads for you, or did you have your like crafty creative Canva person do it?
She did her that static ad based on some older ones I think I had done. It's interesting because when I think about my ads in the past, I have had an uncanny ability to launch around lots of, as soon as something in the world really goes horribly wrong.
Mm,
Um, the first time I launched my course and was doing webinars and playing with ads was June of 2020. And
sure.
George Floyd had
Yep.
just been murdered. And I live in Minneapolis.
Yep.
And it was a really, really hard time, understandably, and rightfully so. And then, same thing in the election time that fall. I was like, okay, now I'm launching again. It's like, that was a horrible mistake. Right. So, and unfortunately, it just feels like every few months there's something really that turns the world on its axis a little bit. But this one, it may have had something to do with why it worked a little bit better. As
But you also had to
either,
be
either
resilient.
we've all normalized, we've normalized the,
We've normalized the
oh
crazy that is going
gosh.
on. But I'm hearing resilience. I'm
Yeah.
hearing that you didn't give up, having
Yeah.
tried them before and not been successful, and
Yeah.
and so what a blessing that it worked this time.
Oh,
That's
good
exciting for
grief,
you.
Sarah. So much resilience in
Yeah,
this business,
it is,
right?
isn't it? I think
Hence the margarita
I
at the end.
I do
Just
think that
that was,
it's actually probably, it's kind of like having a child where everyone is so excited for you when you're
yeah.
pregnant, and there's so much stuff that they do not tell you.
Yeah.
And
Right?
I think entrepreneurship is quite similar in that, gosh, it requires way more resilience than you could ever imagine. I think we can all agree that. And
Mm,
not only resilience, but yeah,
hmm.
just the ability to keep going is just it's
Yeah. Yeah.
uncanny. I'm just like
Yeah.
shocked every day. Like, oh my gosh, I totally get why people give up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just can't imagine doing that. I'd like, you can't see this, I know, but I have this little magnet. Proceed as if success is
So
inevitable.
good.
And I'm just like, it's happening.
Yes.
It's happening. I don't get to decide exactly when, but it's happening. And that has been really helpful for me in all of this. It's part of the reason why I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity and up level my camera
Yes.
and, move beyond my free teleprompter to the real one and set up my space a little bit differently and get the lighting set up even better. And, just it's so iterative. This business is constantly about we show up, we make it a little bit better, and we learn. And then the next time, we just make it a little bit better and we learn. And I feel like that's really what we've been talking about this whole
Really,
time.
it really
Right?
has. The last thing I
Oh,
want to ask you about is just I want to clarify where this event fit in your ascension model. This is essentially like top of
yeah.
the funnel, like bringing
Yep.
coldish, warmish people into your world and serving them well. And your offer was simply a clarity call with you, right?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
it. You didn't
That's it.
pitch like a course, group coaching. It was just like let's hop on a call
Nope.
together.
I talked about them, and the two of the speakers of the three were clients of mine or
Okay.
speakers of mine that I've worked with. And so, really naturally, we talked about the programs, we talked
Mm-hmm.
about what they had learned from it. They showcased what we had done together beautifully just by being there and speaking.
Mm,
So there was a lot of great synergy happening in the event that was very intentional on my part. And so I just wanted to soften the ground. I, what I've learned over the years is speaking and inviting somebody in to be your speaking coach is a really personal thing. And
mm,
you want to have a conversation with that person before you jump in and do something with them. That's not totally true, but especially as I work with higher and higher ticket people
yes.
who are growing significant uh, business with their speaking, they want to have a conversation with you. And so I just shifted my model a little bit from I'm going to pitch something and cross my fingers and hope that y'all jump in right now on this to I know what you really want is to really get a sense of can this person be trusted with my stories?
Mm,
Can this is this person going to really guide me thoughtfully? And what I found is as soon as I have a conversation with somebody, as soon as I sit down with them, they're much closer to the yes than just pitching cold from the stage. So I just, that was one of the big shifts that I've made in my business in the last 6 months, probably. And it's been really powerful, really helpful.
oh, that's really good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Sally, before we go, I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions. I just want the very first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay. Okay.
What do you say to yourself backstage and on stage?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
So
This is going to
excited.
be great.
I love that.
I'm so excited.
Share your best tip for filling events. Is it the Facebook ads?
Mm, that's what worked really well for me
Yeah.
this time.
What is your
And what I would add to that, uh, bringing in guests.
sure. Yeah. What's your favorite moment at events at that event that you hosted?
I love the first 10 minutes, right? That the first 10 minutes of just like, you're here, we're excited, la la la,
So
right? The
exciting.
beginnings are so important, but it's all adrenaline, it's all joy and
Yes.
excitement, and it does feel a little bit like it's running ahead of you, like just hang on to the reins a little bit, but I
Mm.
kind of love that energy, and that's why people are there. So I'm like, just don't, get everybody in there. You do not want to miss the first 2 minutes because we will. That's how you start. You set the tone.
Yeah.
It's a story based moment typically. So I love the beginning.
What's the best thing about hosting your own events or building your own stage and not waiting for somebody else?
Yeah, that you feel like perhaps you are in charge of your life.
Mm,
And some of that, of course, is a complete illusion. But um, you know, to empower yourself, like to recognize within yourself your own ability to create something,
yeah.
to serve people and not wait for permission, like that is a really powerful game changing shift in the way that you think and behave as an entrepreneur and leader that no, you don't have to wait.
I couldn't agree more. What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, two things. I was just, I don't know where the other one is. So, one of my speakers just launched one of her books,
Building
Karen
psychological
Dahl,
fitness.
Building Psychological Fitness. Oh, I suppose people can't see this. Yeah. It's this really powerful, hefty book about um, really wellness at work, mental health wellness
Such an
at
important
work,
topic.
which is obviously really
Yes.
timely and important. So I'm just super proud of her on that, which is great. And then I was just reviewing. I haven't touched base with this book in a few years, but Jane Atkinson's book, The Wealthy Speaker.
Mm,
I came back to this book and I was just reminded. I was just upstairs looking through it as I'm working with my speakers. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything in my strategy and my
Yes.
approach. And then I'll be like, okay, everyone else is, my approach is slightly different, but it's like, okay, yep.
Yeah.
And I was reminded reading Jane's book of, she helps me dream really, really big because she's like, no, you're not just a successful speaker. You're not just a profitable speaker, but you are a wealthy speaker. Like, and as a woman, I want to bring more female voices and leaders into that thinking
Yes.
in the speaking industry because there's just not enough women out there kicking butt.
So good. Sally, what have you got going on right now that we should know about, and where can Lynchpin Nation find you?
Nice. Okay, well, I have a few things. I have some, I think, of course, really powerful programs for speakers and entrepreneurs, coaches, people who want to leverage the power of speaking to grow their revenue and their authority in their industry. And so, let me know if you're curious about that. We can hop on a clarity call.
Yes.
Actually, we could do that. I would really love that. And if you're ready for that, you just reach out to me on social, or you could go to bemoved.com/clarity. And it's a 10-minute call where I can help you get clear on what's next for you in your speaking based on the information we talk about.
Easy peasy. I love it. I'll put
Easy peasy.
I'll put your social handles in the show notes, as well as that link, so people can find you. Sally, thank you so much for being here today. This has been so fun to catch up and hear about your event.
It's been so great. I mean, you're like the yin to my yang. Thank goodness for your logistical planning brain. That is not necessarily my strength, but I love nerding out with you about events because we share love for the events.
It's my passion. Yes. Thanks, Sally. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Lynchpin Nation.
Thank you for listening to the Green Room Central podcast. If you loved this episode today with Sally, then please take a screenshot on your phone and post it to Instagram. And be sure to tag @SarahFafer and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear, or who you'd like to hear from in the future. That'll help me know what to create for you. Also, I know you got one solid gold nugget of advice on filling your events from Sally today, but if you'd like a few more, 107 to be exact, then head over to fillingevents.com. Right now, I want to help you quickly master event marketing and fill your events, even if you've never done them before. I've scoured the online business world and found 107 of my favorite strategies working right now to fill your virtual or your in-person event. Create the event promotion plan you need from these easy to implement, customizable strategies at fillingevents.com. Now, in case you're curious, this podcast is built on Kajabi. I'm loving how easy it is to get things set up and going, but more so, I'm thrilled that my entire business is run within one platform, from my emails to my pages to my courses and my podcast too. It's all under one roof. If you love simplicity and scalability as much as I do, then what I want you to do right now is to go to greenroomcentral.com to get a free 14-day trial from Kajabi. I appreciate your commitment to leveling up and learning the mindset and the strategy of live events. Keep going. Keep learning. If you want more, head over to greenroomcentral.com for show notes and all the links from today's episode.